Welcome to the Preschool All Stars podcast. I'm your host, Joy Anderson. And with us today, we have our amazing preschool all star, Kelli Bond. How are you, Kelli?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. So, could you share your story with everyone so they get to know you a little bit better? What were you doing? What was your life like? What were some of the struggles you had before you came into my world?
Well, so before I met you, I was working as a daycare director. I was working, 50 hours a week. I was dragging my kids 10 hours a day. My husband was gone for 2 months with the military, and I was doing everything on my own. And the company I worked with just was not supportive. And they were like, oh, you're messing up here, you're messing up there. And it was like, I don't have help. It was a large center. Like, I didn't even have an assistant director because she went on maternity leave.
Yeah.
So they didn't replace my assistant director during this time either. So that's why I couldn't get to it all. There was too much. There
Yeah.
was over 500 families at that center,
Wow.
and they just expected me to do it all. And after a while, it was just like, I can't keep doing this to my family. I was bringing my kids when they were sick
Oh,
because I didn't have anyone at home to watch them,
yeah.
and the daycare needed me there because they didn't have anyone there. And so I quit in January last year, and I was like, hey, what am I going to do? Because if I find another job, it's going to be the same thing.
Right.
And I was like, I have a basement. It's partially finished. It's not fully done, but
Yeah.
it's partially finished. Maybe I can look in and see if like that's okay here in Utah to put a preschool in, because I was like needing to know the licensing rules. But luckily, preschool doesn't have to be licensed in Utah.
Right.
So I didn't have to worry about that. If I
Yeah.
was getting licensed, I would have had to add a finished room.
Hmm.
But so it was like, good. If I don't keep kids more than 4 hours, I can have a preschool. I'm good.
Yep.
So I started transforming my preschool, and I started painting my wall, and I started getting everything, all the furniture, getting everything
Yeah.
set up. Um, and I opened up my preschool last April and started with summer camps in June.
Cool.
I did 6 summer camps last year because I was like, I'm going to schedule every week I am open so that I can, because I don't know if I'm going to have any students.
Right.
And I actually ended up filling all, well, I didn't fill them all, but I had
Right.
students in every single one. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is too many summer camps. But um, so I had my 3 kids there. So with my 3 kids at each of those camps, I had about 6 to 11 students in
Wow.
each of those camps.
Yeah.
Um, and then I started the school year in September with 8 students.
Yeah.
And then in October, I met Joy.
So
So
hold up,
all
hold
this
up.
had
You
happened
started this
before.
whole thing on your own. Did you even have my
Yes.
book, or how in the
Nope.
world did you just do
I
this
did
on your
not
own?
get any of that until October.
Congrats. That is a
So
major props to
it just,
you.
I've had the past 18 years, I have worked
Yeah.
in various forms with kids, and the last one was a daycare director. And so I was like,
Yeah.
well, I know I can run a place, so
Right?
I could just run it in my own house.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so you entered my world in October. What'd you see? An ad for the free book or something?
it was either the free book or I think it was the 7 days
Okay.
challenge, because I was at like a breaking point in October.
Why? Tell us what
Like,
happened then.
well, it was just like I had some students, like, one of my students, after about a week, they left because their parents got divorced, and um, had another one where she had 2 of her kids with me, and the older one was getting bored. It had only been a month, and I was assessing where each kid was.
Yeah.
But apparently, he complained that he was getting bored,
Yeah.
and he wanted to homeschool because she was
Mm,
homeschooling the older kids.
sure.
So she took the one son out. She kept the one in, the little one in.
Mm,
But it was kind of like I was getting discouraged because I had 8 to start with, and then I was down to 6 within a month. And it was like,
yeah.
what is going on? And I was like, how do I get students in the middle of the year? And then I see this, oh, 7 students in 7 days. And I was like,
That
okay,
sounds good.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And I was like, all like, okay, if I can get at least one student from this, I'm going to join Joy.
Yeah.
I didn't get a student, but I actually did not get any students from that challenge.
Yeah.
But after just learning all about your program, I was just like, this is going to help me. So I might as well do it and
Yeah.
invest in it, because if I don't, I'm going to be struggling.
Mm.
So it has come helpful. So
So we'll go into the details of what's happened
yeah.
since October, but I want to raise a really good point that you mentioned, kind of reiterate it, because you mentioned, if I get at least one student in the 7 students in 7 days
Hmm.
challenge, then I'll join her program. But what was really interesting, you didn't get any students, and it's that's a good point because not everybody gets students during the
Yeah.
challenge. But let's go back for a second. You mentioned like, oh, when I saw everything that you had, but what changed within you during that 7 day challenge? Like, how did you grow
Yeah.
that made you feel like, okay, this is worth it. Let's keep going.
Honestly, I think it was the community
Mm.
of Preschool All Stars
Yeah,
because I work so much better when I have people to collaborate with.
right.
And it's, when I'm doing my own in-home preschool, I don't have anyone to collaborate with. I try to talk to my husband, and he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Manipulatives, what is that? Like that's literally our conversation yesterday. He's like, you don't need to be using these
Right.
words with me. But um, and so it's like, okay, I can't really talk to him about it.
Yeah.
He'll help me move furniture and support me in what I'm doing, but other than that, it's funny though because he works from home
Yeah.
3 out of the 5 days. And so while I was listening to all your stuff for the 7 day challenges,
So was he.
like, so was he.
Right.
And he was like, he just is so funny because he's like, it sounds like you're joining a cult. Like, but he's like, it's that bad that I know Joy's name.
That's hilarious.
But
I can't say that you're not the first that I've heard that from. Okay, so just to give clarity,
yes, it
you've
is
been
not a
in the
cult.
group
It's
for
just
6 months. Are we a cult? Yes or
no,
no?
no, it is a support group.
Okay. Good. Just had to put that one to bed. Okay.
Yes. That was just my husband's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
But
so you jumped into All Stars, and you started working through the 30 day challenge. So give us,
yes.
just what happened during the 30 day challenge, that you decided to continue, because again, you had a successful preschool, like you didn't need us per se.
Yeah.
You could still create income. You were creating income, but like, why stay?
Um, well, it actually took me like a couple months to finish that 30-day challenge.
Yeah,
Because I liked your website templates. I liked all the pre-done for you things. So it,
yeah.
saves me time. And I was actually, what took me so long was I was editing my website and really personalizing it,
Ah,
especially for my summer camps,
love that.
because you didn't really have a format for summer camps. And
Yeah.
so it was like, I just kind of went through the preschool format and
Hmm.
just changed it up to make it summer camp. So it took me a little while to do that.
Yeah.
So I didn't finish checking everything off until I got that done.
Right.
But uh, it just having everything done for you, because I have in the past created my own things, you know, copied what my daycare did and changed it to,
Yep.
what I need. And like, it just, you know, it was like, well, it's kind of working, kind of not.
Right.
And the fact that all of your stuff is for preschool and just right with what I'm doing, it helps so much. So it's such a time saver,
Yeah.
really. And I have gotten so much more motivation to keep going because, like I said, I was falling apart because I was like, I've lost 2 students and I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. And by January, by the time that I had finished my 30-day challenge, I had 4 students register in
Nice.
January, but then one backed out before they even started because
Yeah.
they got
Which
into a free
happens.
program. So, free
Yeah.
program, they're not my target audience.
Exactly.
So, it was just, like I was finally seeing those results. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've been getting random calls and I'm like, I haven't even been putting ads out right now. Like that's what I was doing before. I was throwing ads out. I was doing flyers everywhere. I was posting every single day in every single mom's group. I have not posted on Facebook in a while. I have
Right.
done like my Valentine party and just the random like
Yeah.
things, but I'm still getting calls.
Nice.
So whatever we're doing is working.
Oh, I love that. So you joined us in October, and we're a good, I don't know, maybe 4 months into the journey so far.
Yeah.
And along the way, I'm going to share this with you really quick. sometimes after our sister circles, which is our big sister, and she has,
Mhm.
well, we have two big sisters, but we put them in a Facebook Messenger group with about 10 new sisters, and so that way you get like real close support and stuff. And so
Yeah.
it was really interesting because in October, I believe, was it Jennifer was your
Yeah,
she was
she
your
was my
big
big sister.
sister. Yeah,
Mhm.
Jennifer Wilson was your big sister in October, and you were the new sister. And, and then we actually asked some of our big sisters, we're like, hey, who was like super helpful in your sister circle, even though they're not a big sister? And she named you. And so we're like, Kelli, would you like to be a big sister? Because you've already shown that you love to support. What I'd
Mhm.
like you to do is, now that you've had your round, the last 30 days of
Mhm.
supporting these new sisters coming through, what has been your experience? What have you seen and what do you love about it?
So, I just love talking about my business. Like, I always have, like, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, like, if I can talk about it, then I can, bounce ideas and I can, figure out ways to grow even more. And
Yeah.
having somebody else who's in the same process really helps because, it's like, okay, where are you at? What are you doing and what can we, help with that? And I just love collaborating with people. And
Yeah.
so being a big sister, these sisters are like, "What do I do about this?" And I'm just like, "Well, this is what I did.
Yeah.
And then this is what Joy says. So I recommend following Joy, not what I did." But um, because a lot of things, it was like, "Oh, I wish I had kind of started back in April when I first opened up, and not in October after I'd already been going." But
You had some
yeah,
good momentum behind you, though. It was still good.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome. So, if we had someone who's watching this and was on the fence about joining Preschool All Stars, what would you say to her?
So I actually was just chatting with someone through Messenger
Mm.
earlier today. They were on a preschool teacher, in-home preschool moms group,
Yeah.
and um, I was kind of telling her about this, and I was just like, you absolutely can build your business without all of this, but I don't recommend it. I was like, with between the done for you forms and website templates and the support, like you will get your momentum so much quicker
Mm.
than you will on your own.
Yeah.
I did it on my own. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's not impossible,
Right.
but it's so much easier having someone be like, hey, do this and then do this.
Yeah.
It just helps so much. And, um, you don't have to follow the template exactly if you don't like it,
Hmm.
but it's there so you can know the concept of like, oh, this is the best way to sell things. And
Yeah.
you
And
can
then make it
change
your
stuff
own.
and
Yeah.
personalize and make it your own.
Uh-huh.
But it's there, it's ready. You can just slap it on and you can have a business.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Add your logo, change the class times. You have a website.
Yes.
Later, you can go back and personalize it, but for now, keep
Yeah.
going.
Yes. I didn't do it later. I did it right there and then. But
Yeah. Love that. Well,
yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we just appreciate everything you do in our Preschool All Stars program. You've supported so many of our sisters, and I know that they love you.
Oh,
So,
good.
if you are watching this and you'd like to learn more about Preschool All Stars, go to preschoolallstars.com or the links in the description, so you can get on the wait list. And when we reopen the doors, you can jump on in. And again, Kelli, thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
Thanks. All right. Bye.